Devi 作为 S&No 的首席执行官，被福布斯评为30岁以下精英。他23岁创办自己的公司，获红杉资本 Spark 创始人奖，开始布局全球化教育，建立9200名学生的学习网络，拥有140家国际学校 IB 考官资源，和50家全球国际学校建立密切合作。是什么激励着他一直执着追求教育事业？让我们来采访 S&No 的创始人 Devi， 去挖掘他成长和创业过程中的独特经历。
Could you tell us a bit about your family background?
So I grew up in Antwerp in Belgium. Growing up, we lived with a grandmother. It was a strict household in the sense of character. My parents really emphasized, integrity, honesty, love, and doing the right thing. Never being late for dinner, never being late for lunch. I really feel that they focused on the right things. They focused on the values. They focused on the heart, the character. But it just goes to show, I think, they really focused on the soft skills of both my brother and I.
What has pushed you to do well in your career and in school?
I think more than just external factors, what really pushed me growing up was actually a person. My grandmother, her name was Gladys. She passed away about years ago. She was a little woman of 5'1" who could generally get her way in everything she did. And she just really showed a lot of belief in me. Her belief in me was so powerful that it trumped any knowledge that existed within my brain. And I find myself, although she is no more, she is almost here more, and that her belief in me is so powerful that it really sort of kept me going, and that really inspired me to start my company and to have teachers that can really believe in the students' ability, that can really look in the student's eye and say, you got this. Like, I believe in you and you will get there. We forget to just look at our students and show them that genuine belief. Because ultimately, I believe everyone needs a mentor. And my grandmother, Gladys, was my mentor. And she carries me till today.
You started at NYU on scholarship, but transferred to Georgetown University. What influenced your decision to make this change?
As I grew up in Belgium, when I was 18, all I wanted to do was leave Belgium, leave my family, and become independent and be, a power lady that starts her own thing. And so I applied to about 4 US universities. My dream school was Georgetown University, and I only got into one school, which was NYU. So I went there my freshman year, and I couldn't help but still think about my dream school. And as with a lot of things in life, I can be quite stubborn, and when Devi wants something, she wants something, and she does not really let go. So I reapplied to Georgetown in my freshman year, and I got in, and I ended up accepting the offer. And I remember when I got the offer letter, I was at NYU, and I got the letter sent to my dorm, and I opened the letter, and it was from Georgetown. I remember my hands were sweaty, and I felt so nervous to open it, and I opened it up, and it said, you are formally accepted. I think that was one of my best decisions in my life, actually, because today, I sit on Georgetown's board 10 years later, and I'm trying to give back to the school that taught me so much about Jesuit values and cura personalis, which really means educating the whole person. That's one of Georgetown's tenets. And I learned so much from Georgetown. That's also where I started getting passionate about education. I was a TA, a teaching assistant for my majors, and I just loved being a TA because I found that while I was teaching other students, I was learning so much more in return. And I was learning about myself. And that really sort of made me excited about education. So I am very, very happy and thankful to Georgetown, which is an area that really let me find out who I am and who I was.
You were recognized by Forbes 30 under 30 in 2022. When did you found your company, and what were the challenges you faced along the way?
Yeah, so I founded my company in late 2017, and there were a lot of challenges along the way. There were 2 big challenges in particular. One challenge was convincing parents that learning entrepreneurship was equally, if not even more important than academics. because during entrepreneurship journey, you acquire so many skills, in particular, an important skill that's important for life: a positive relationship with failure. The second challenge was, starting in 2017, 2018, online education was not very common. The issue was all the teachers that were working at Ascend were hand-picked experts from all over the world, anywhere from Switzerland to the UK to places in Southeast Asia. I had to convince parents that students would learn equally, if not more effectively, than in-person coaching. And so that was really challenging, but I still hold to that conviction today that kids learn online more effectively than in person. A very important insight about how kids consume information. They choose to consume information online. Why would that change when it relates to education? I find that students feel more safe talking to their coaches online. They feel more comfortable opening up about their personal issues. And more importantly, they don't have to travel 2 hours to see the best expert in town. They can have the best expert from the comfort of their own bedroom.
As an analyst at Goldman Sachs in New York, many would think an ideal career path. What motivated you to leave and start your own company?
So when I was at Georgetown, all I wanted to do was work at Wall Street. I saw a lot of my friends, my mentors, going to Wall Street, so I thought that was for me as well. I worked at Goldman Sachs for about 3 years, and while the work content did not interest me so much, I developed a lot of skills that I never knew I had. For example, grit or time management, learning how to work in a team, learning how to delegate work. So I'm very grateful for my time at Goldman Sachs. I think the strive for excellence in that company is so evident, and it's something I try to instill with my own team at Ascend now. More importantly, I had such an amazing boss at Goldman Sachs, David Dubner, and a lady called Riva Narula. They were so supportive and they were so encouraging of making mistakes to relearn and reapply that it really taught me a lot about what kind of leadership I wanted within my own company. Education is in my blood. I mean, that's really what I live for. Before I got back into education, when I was at Georgetown, I started a small company for college students to tutor other college students. And I remember feeling so excited that peer-to-peer learning was so powerful. So I moved to Singapore and I started Ascend now. And I'm so glad I did.
I heard an interesting story about how you approached Karen Young. Could you please share that story with us?
Sure. So Karen Young is one of my mentors. She's also an advisor and an investor at Ascend. And we met in somewhat of a funny way. So one of our mutual friends introduced us in late 2020. I was so honored to even have the opportunity to meet the founder of one of the most elite and premium and value-oriented schools, Dulwich College. And so I remember writing on that intro email, Karen, I would love to meet you. And Karen responded and said, we can meet at this date and this time at Starbucks. I don't believe she showed up either. But I was so persistent because I wanted to meet Karen and I wanted to learn from her story. So the third time's a charm. So I wrote to her and I said, can we meet at the Starbucks right outside your office? I wanted to make it as convenient and as easy for her to slip out. So she came down and finally she graced me with her presence. Karen remains a very important pillar in my life, both personally and professionally. She is a world-renowned fixer, helps fix all my issues, and has a unique ability of breaking problems into very reasonable steps. And she just has this ability to just calm me down and think from first principles and really apply a very unique problem-solving methodology with me. Don't stress about this or don't be anxious about this. And I think in your life, you need someone who can both lift you up, but also ground you. And she does both for me. So I am really grateful to have her.
Your company has attracted a strong team of experts, including a senior economist from IMF, CEOs, VP, and IB examiners. How did you manage to convince them to join you?
So one of the biggest hurdles but also exciting moments was to attract talent at Ascend Now. And frankly, I don't know why we've been able to attract the best teachers of the best, the creme de la creme IB examiners, professors from leading universities or IMF economists. But I suspect that the reason they joined is they agree with our vision of democratizing student education in entrepreneurship, in soft skills, in academics. And they really echo with that vision of having a mentor for every student. I fundamentally believe that education is not just about subject knowledge, exam technique, outcomes. It's about believing in the child and making them believe in themselves. That is so powerful. Why does someone become a teacher? What's their motivation to become an educator or a teacher? And usually they come with an answer like, I had an amazing teacher or coach or mentor when I was in high school, and I want to be that for my students. And I think that's really powerful because what they're trying to say is, I want to pay forward this culture of mentorship and belief to all the students I can. And I think that it goes much more beyond achievements, university outcomes. It's really about student character building. Education is all about one thing, character building. And I think that that's really in line with one of the visions of Ascend Now.
When you look back, do you feel any regret about decision you made or pride in a good choice you made?
I think that I don't really believe in regret. I think that you make your choices and you move forward with them. But that being said, I definitely think in high school or even in university, I regret choosing my own needs versus spending time with family, in particular my grandmother, who was about 80 years old when I was in university. And there was one summer, I think it was sophomore year, where I spent the whole summer in the US. I was interning at the United Nations, and I didn't go back home to Belgium to visit my grandmother. And the following year, she actually passed away. So I think that really hit hard for me because I realized that what difference does it make to intern here or work here when really, ultimately, life is just a series of moments, right? If you think about life, it's just a whole bunch of little moments, and you're looking to make those moments as happy and memorable as possible. And she was a very big part of that. So I think that's one of my regrets. In terms of, decisions I'm proud of, I definitely think starting Ascend Now has been a very rewarding decision. For example, I had one student who never spoke to her mom for 3 years. She couldn't even have eye contact with her mother because they had such a bad relationship. And after 3 years, we supported the student in a few projects. She ended up publishing a book, and she started having a relationship with her mom. And today they're best friends. So I think that I've had parents come to me and cry, and share how happy they are with the rewarding feeling of reconnecting with her. It makes what I do much more purposeful, much more impactful, and so special.
非常感谢 Devi 接受桃子社群的采访。